Panasonic, the heart of your system.
Hello, Bryony here from Kit Guru, and this is my review of the MSI VIGOR GK60 keyboard. It's a keyboard that I'm pretty sure I saw at Computex in the summer of last year, and I finally got my hands on one to review. So this keyboard is a sort of middle of the range full-size mechanical keyboard. It does feature Cherry MX mechanical switches, but MSI has sort of taken out a few features you might find on a more expensive keyboard to bring the price down to around £95 here in the UK. If you're a fan of RGB on your keyboard, you might be a little bit disappointed by this one, as it does only have red backlighting. Red is MSI's colour, so it does definitely make sense, and it does match the red Cherry MX switches as well. It has got 7 different effects to choose between though. You have got some sort of like strobing ones, flashing ones, scrolling ones. I've currently got it on the static mode. The lighting effects can be changed on board the keyboard itself by holding down the function key, and you've got 6 different buttons that change the speed and sort of the effect, etc. Or you can change the lighting effects using either the MSI Gaming Center software or also the MSI Mystic lighting software, which we'll take a little look at later on. The lighting itself is a decent brightness. I have got some very bright lights shining down on my desk here, and it does show up really well at night as well. The overall design of this keyboard is quite minimalistic. It has a reasonably small footprint. It doesn't come with any sort of wrist rest or anything. And then it has got black keycaps with an aluminium faceplate, so it's a really nice design. The keycaps themselves, they have a really good font on them. They are raised off the body of the keyboard, and you do get an extra set of metal keycaps as well. I don't particularly like the feel of these, but they do actually look really nice. However, there is only 4 for the W, AS and D keys though, so if you're a mobile player, you're probably going to feel a little bit left out by those. The keyboard does also come with another set of just plain black keycaps that match the other keys on the keyboard. If you don't particularly like the metal keycaps, the top of them is only metal anyway. They're sort of half plastic, half metal. The aluminium faceplate, I do really like that. I think it's a really nice design. It does make the keyboard look a little bit more premium, and it also does help to add a little bit of structural sort of rigidity as well to the plastic chassis. When it comes to MSI's branding on this keyboard, they certainly haven't really gone over the top either. There is sort of like a white dragon logo, and I think it does look good because MSI does definitely have one of the best logos because it's a dragon and dragons are cool. And next to the logo, you've got 3 little LEDs that indicate the caps lock, the num lock, and then also indicates when you turn on the gaming mode. And you turn on gaming mode by pressing the function key and the Windows key, and then what that does is it locks the Windows key and engages the full N key rollover, so you get sort of like the best gaming experience basically. Unfortunately, this keyboard doesn't feature any dedicated media keys like you'll find on a slightly more expensive keyboard. It's something that MSI have decided to cut. However, fortunately, you do still have media functionality by pressing down the function key, and then you've got the F9 key, F10, F11 and F12, and then also the print screen, scroll lock and pause. Give you all the sort of like pause and play options and the volume options you'd expect, and I can reach them all easily with one hand. So now I'm just going to flip the keyboard so we can take a look at what's going on underneath. So you can see that it has got 2 little plastic flip out feet, and they flip out outwards. So I really like that on keyboards because if they are facing the other way, sometimes when you move the keyboard while you're gaming, they can flick down and then it goes all wonky, and it is quite annoying. This keyboard also features something called, MSI call it the exclusive gaming base. Essentially it's just a rubber pad that sits underneath the spacebar. The idea of that is that when you sort of smack your spacebar in a game, it prevents the keyboard like flexing. To be honest, I've never abused my keyboard enough that I've noticed that that's an issue. But if you are someone that gets really into your gameplay, maybe like MOBAs, I think, yeah, you're probably hitting the spacebar quite a lot. Games like that, then I think it may help if it's a problem you have, but personally it didn't really make too much of a difference for me. Also underneath, you'll see there is this sort of they call it like a cable management thing, but basically it's just sort of a hole. So when the keyboard's on the desk, you have got some space to thread cables through. So I think that's quite handy if you have got a wired headset. You can slide the cable underneath the keyboard and it's not going over the top and sort of getting in the way. When it comes to build quality, the GK60 does actually do surprisingly well. I'm really glad that MSI haven't sort of cut corners when it comes to build quality in order to save cost, they have sort of cut a few features, but build quality has stayed pretty good. It's a very solid, sturdy keyboard. It weighs just over a kilogram. There's no real sort of flex to the body. I do think the aluminium faceplate does really help with that, as it does feel a little bit sort of plasticky. It doesn't feel quite as solid as a keyboard that might cost twice as much, but you would really expect that. And I do think at this price point, the build quality is really good. It can compete with keyboards that might cost £50 or £60 more in that respect. And yeah, I'm certainly not disappointed. There's no sort of rough or unfinished edges or anything. The cable sort of shooting out the top of this keyboard is coated in a matte black plastic. It's not a braided cable. I personally would prefer a braided cable because I think it just looks a little bit nicer. It's probably a little bit more hard wearing as well. But the cable is a decent length at 2 meters, so you should have plenty of length to get routed to the back of your PC. It also only has the one USB connector because this keyboard doesn't actually feature a USB pass-through, so it's something to consider if it's something that you're going to use often. The keys on this keyboard are raised slightly off the body, so that does create a really nice lighting effect with the lighting. They're not sort of set down in the keyboard. It does allow the light to shine out nicely and reflect off that aluminium backplate. The font is nice and clear and easy to read, but it still sort of fits in with the gaming aesthetic of the keyboard. The keycaps themselves, if I quickly pull one off, they are finished in like a sort of matte black coating. It is quite a nice finish to the keycaps. They are sort of thin and lightweight, pretty standard keycaps, but you can't really expect to get PVT keycaps on a keyboard at this price point. The spacing and the layout of the keyboard is basically as expected. I've obviously got the UK layout, but depending on where you are in the world, I'm sure it'll be pretty much standard wherever. There's nothing funky going on with all the keys. The stems themselves, like I said, the keys are raised off the body of the keyboard, and I did notice they are slightly more wobbly than other keyboards I have tested. It's not really a problem, like they're not over the top, but I thought it's just something I would mention. However, I haven't really had any issues while typing or gaming with them. So I think probably the main feature of this keyboard is the Cherry MX mechanical switches. I think it's pretty obvious MSI would probably sacrifice some of the other features in order to keep those Cherry MX mechanical switches at that sort of lower price point. So they are Cherry MX red switches. They're a linear switch. I personally like these switches a lot for gaming with, so it makes sense that MSI have put them on a keyboard that is aimed at that market. With the red switches, I find that I'm slightly less accurate when I'm typing. I do prefer a tactile switch for typing with, but they are sort of like one of my favorites for fast-paced gaming. The keyboard also does only come with the one switch option, so if you are a fan of like the clicky-clacky tactile blue switches, you might be a little bit disappointed as you only have the option of the reds. So one of the main changes that MSI have made with these new updated peripherals over their older peripherals is they now work with the MSI Gaming Center software and MSI Mystic Light software, which you can see I've opened up on my screen behind me. So the Mystic Light and Gaming Center software with the GK60, you don't really have too many options. Mystic Light basically allows the keyboard to sync up with any other components or peripherals you might have, and the Gaming Center software just allows you to sort of basically change the LEDs. With the sort of higher end keyboard that MSI do, the GK80, you do have options to sort of record macros and things. GK60 doesn't come with that option. You can literally only change the RGB lighting, which can also be done on the keyboard itself. So the software, in a way, it's there if you want to use it and sync up with other peripherals, but you don't really need it that much. So I'll close down the Gaming Center software because it literally does the same thing as Mystic Lighting with this keyboard. And you can see that you've got basically on the left hand side here all the options to change between the different effects. So steady, breathing, wave, marquee, cross range, on the next page ripple, and then activity on touch, and then you can also set it back to the default, which I'm pretty sure is static. You can see down here as well that you have sort of got the little colour wheel as if this software obviously works with other components that use RGB lighting, but of course you don't only have the option of red on the GK60. You can also change the speed and also change the brightness as well, and then you just click apply and all that saves. The software is basically nice and easy to find and download. It's nice and straightforward to use, it just seems to work, and it's basically what you want from a piece of software, but with this keyboard you don't actually have to use it either. So overall, the MSI GK60 Vigor keyboard has no RGB lighting, no wrist rest, no USB pass-through, no dedicated media keys, no macro recording, and also no braided cable either. But it does come at a very good price. MSI have obviously sacrificed some of the features that might not really matter that much to some people, but kept those Cherry MX mechanical switches. They are some of my favourites. They are sort of well known. Everyone seems to really like them. You do only get the option of reds, but they do make the most sense for gamers. The lighting as well, you do get a little bit of customization. You can change the different effects. You have got the option to use the software now as well. And I do think it is an attractive keyboard. It's good to look at. It's well built. It definitely has got a lot going for it. At the end of the day, this keyboard does provide the same typing and gaming experience as a keyboard that could cost a lot more. You just have to miss out on a few different features. If you like this video from Kit Guru, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you've never been to our channel before, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button, it really helps us out, and also remember to press the little bell icon as well, and you'll get a notification every time a new video goes live.